first of all, what kind of mythical powers does a Sun Devil have? We got to consider that.
Y'all don't remember the Georgia Southern game, do you?
You know, I hope there's Bigfoot. I don't think there is.
Like rat poison. All right, so
it's Division I football. It ain't intramurals.
It is not intramurals. It's Division I football. We are back. The Hoppy Huddle has returned. We've got some upgrades. We've got ACC previews. We are this close to football. We're almost there.
We're here. The season is here. We're ready to go.
Oh, it's going to be great. We've got, I think 9 or 10. How many? 9 ACC teams we're talking about today. We're talking ACC Part 1. We're splitting the conferences are now so big that we just can't do them all in one episode. So we're splitting them up into 2 different episodes. We're going to go, just to give you a little roadmap where we're going, we're going to hit ACC, and then we're going to hit the rest of the conferences. We'll do a playoff show. We'll make sure to hit Notre Dame and some Group of 5 highlights. And before you know it, we'll be doing week 0 previews, week 1 previews. And then with the season will be here. And then we've got games to talk about. And as we all know, it all goes out the window week 1 once the games start going. All this talk is nothing as soon as they step onto the field.
We've been waiting all year for this, and it's here. We can taste it. Camps are going on, injuries, injury rumors, everything's happening. But we're here to talk about conferences. And today we're going to talk about the ACC. We're going to talk about the contenders, the pretenders, and everyone in between. I'm excited. I'm ready to go. Can't wait to get the season started. So
I am excited too. Cannot wait. It's going to be great. So how do you want to start this? Do you want to start? I think we start with the teams that we're covering today, just to give you a roadmap. It's going to be Clemson, SMU, Georgia Tech, Florida State, Pitt, NC State, Virginia Tech, Boston College, and Cal. We kind of had to mix it up a little bit. Can't hit all the big boys in one episode. Otherwise, nobody would watch the other episode, and it would be kind of boring. So we've split it up a little bit, and I'm good to go ahead and just dive right in.
Well, why don't we just start at the top, and let's talk about the best team in the conference, the team that is clearly the favorite in Las Vegas, and the team that is getting, I'm sorry, the coaches poll came out. I didn't see where they were ranked, but they're up there. That's the Clemson Tigers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Clemson Tigers, some people say maybe one of the best teams in the country, let alone the conference. They've got a ton of experience coming back. They have Cade Klubnik, one of the favorites to win the Heisman. They've got a great receiving core. Clemson actually used the transfer portal this year for a couple of players at key positions. Will Help from Purdue, the defensive lineman, and they grabbed some wide receiver from some like D2 or D3 school to increase their offense. They brought in a new defensive coordinator. They had a 3rd year of Riley as the OC. I think Tom Allen, the defensive coordinator, improved their defense. They've got the talent. They just didn't quite have the scheme. I have Clemson going big this year. And if you want to, what are your thoughts on the Tigers?
Well, I think, everybody forget they signed the number 5 running back in the nation, Gideon Davidson. I think he could start it right away. And I haven't looked at a lot of camp notes yet. It's still early, but don't be surprised to see him get some playing time early on. They're the inside backer, linebacker, Sammy Brown, the outside backer, Wade Woods. I mean, those guys are just outstanding. I mean, this is a defense that is built to win games. Make no mistake, this is a team on both sides of the ball that can win. The question we're going to have is, are they going to be able to put it all together and go back to the seasons they used to have? It's been a number of years now. I mean, they've lost 3 games or 4 games since really every year since 2020. So we're not used to having these kind of expectations for Clemson, this high early in the year since really Trevor Lawrence was there. so this is unfamiliar territory. This is the big year. This is where Dabo's pushed all the chips in, I think. Now we start out of the gate. Jake, you want to pull up the schedule for us?
Yeah. Let's see. We've got the Clemson schedule right here. And yeah, so right out of the gate, Clemson starts obviously with the big non-conference matchup against LSU. Apparently, according to the chat, chat went to high school with Cade Klubnik. So
All right.
that's
Well,
interesting.
good. That's good.
Pretty,
It's not a bad guy to go to high school with.
Yeah.
We get out of the box. We get Death Valley versus Death Valley. We'll find out who the real Death Valley is. Clemson is number 1 in the country in returning offensive production. So I don't, and of course, they're going to face LSU, and we'll get to the SEC in a week or two. Their offense is no slouch. So this is going to be a great game on Saturday, August 30th. I know we're going to be watching the game. And even if Clemson loses this game, look at the rest of that schedule. I mean, you don't find a lot of losses on there. Georgia Tech, which I think we're going to talk about later this episode. Yeah, I think Georgia Tech's good, but I think they're a step back maybe from last year, given some of the losses. Tell me where the other losses are. SMU, I think, is probably a step back from last year. Duke is not bad, but they're not a terrible team. Where are they? I mean, to me, the toughest game on that schedule was really at Louisville on a Friday night.
Yeah. So my schedule for prediction for Clemson, I have them going 11-1. I have them beating LSU, beating Troy. I actually have them losing to Georgia Tech in week 3.
You're crazy.
I don't know if I'm really that crazy.
Who's Georgia Tech throwing to this year? Singleton's gone.
They have what's his face?
Run the ball. That's all.
They have Malik Rutherford. He's not that bad.
All right, we'll get to Georgia Tech.
We'll get to Georgia Tech in a little bit, but that's a little sneak preview of what I think of Georgia Tech. And then after that, I have them running the table, actually. And Clemson, North Carolina, Boston College, easy. Should theoretically be easy for Clemson. SMU will be a challenge, and so will Duke, and who knows what Florida State will be. That Louisville game will be tough, but I just think Clemson's offense is going to be too powerful this year, and with an improved defensive play calling and scheme, especially with all the talent, all the senior, they have a lot of 5-star seniors on that, or former 5-star seniors on that Clemson defense. And with a good scheme from Tom Allen, Tom Allen's kind of a high energy guy. He really vibes with the Dabo mentality, in my opinion. It's a match made in heaven if you were to pick 2 coaches with a similar vibe. And so I think Clemson will be an elite team. I think they will run the table. Again, I'm not 100% sold on that Georgia Tech loss. Like I feel like they could drop another one along the way. There's certainly a couple tough games, but I just, it's hard for me to see them like losing 2 games with this amount of talent, because they're going to be more talented than everything they play again, except LSU. And they have a better defense than LSU and arguably as good of an offense.
Well, yeah. Louisville, remember last year, ran all over them at Clemson. So don't discount Louisville. So
that's true. But I think with better scheme on the defense, I think Clemson should be able to handle them. And let's be real. Louisville is not the same team they were last year. They've lost a lot.
Miller Moss is not going
to. I'm a little. That'll be a revenge game, but it is not going to be the same game that it was last year, in my opinion.
No. Yeah, I'm with you on this team. I think it's hard to, when you look at the schedule, you just look at how many times they're going to be favored. I don't see this team slipping up at so much. They may lose the LSU game. It's hard to tell. The first week of the season, you just don't know what you're getting. And LSU is a good team. Even if they elude LSU, I just can't see more than one other loss on that schedule with the talent on both sides of the ball. Worst case, this is a 10-2 team. Probably 10-2 gets on the ACC championship, if not at least a seat at the title game. So there's a reason why they're the favorite. They're the best in the ACC this year, and everybody's looking up to them.
Yeah, and if you're picking someone else as the number 1 team in the ACC going into this year, I really have to question your judgment, because preseason wise, there's nobody else. It's
I think it's probably the only conference where we feel pretty clear. This is the clear number 1. Everybody else is a tier down. Just because of what they return on both sides of the ball. There's a lot of teams that have weakness. I say there's one other team we'll get to another conference who I feel like is kind of this level, returns a lot of production, and is clearly an elite team. Clemson feels elite. Now, our issue with them is, are they good enough to compete on both sides of the ball with some of the powerhouses for a national title?
Yeah.
That's for another podcast for us to discuss.
Different conversation.
Different conversation. But as far as the ACC goes, this is the best team and the team to beat.
I have to agree with you there. Next
All
up, straight out of Dallas, Texas, it is the SMU Mustangs. And SMU had the best season in the modern era of college football for SMU. They, 11-1 regular season, playoff berth, ACC title berth, vastly outperformed expectations. Little side note, they did have a pretty easy schedule as schedules go. Maybe a little product of the schedule, but Kevin Jennings was a revelation and was not expected. Nobody expected him in the preseason. So, all the credit to SMU, but they've got a different schedule this year.
Mm-hmm.
And if you'll notice here, that includes out-of-conference games against Baylor and TCU, two good Big 12 teams. They've got at Clemson, versus Miami, versus Louisville. All three of those are tough games. And Syracuse is not necessarily a pushover either. They do have some games where they're going to be more talented than some of the teams they play against. They do play kind of the bottom of the ACC, but they also play kind of the top. So you get your pick here. My prediction with SMU is I have them going 8-4, 9-3, and it's pretty easy to pick out the 3 or 4 games that they're going to lose. Take 2 out of Clemson, Miami, Louisville, and 1 or 2 out of Baylor, TCU. That's pick them in any order you want. Sonny Dykes, or sorry, not Sonny. He's at TCU now. They have Rhett Lashley has he's a good offensive schemer. So I think they will definitely threaten and upset maybe a couple of those top teams, but they can't beat all of them. Like, it would not surprise me if they knocked off Miami, or maybe they're the lost to Clemson on an off week, or maybe they beat TCU or Baylor. But it's just, I don't think week to week they're going to have the same consistency, especially because they lose so much on the defensive line. Sneakily last year, SMU's strength was their actually transfer heavy defensive line. And we just don't know how that D-line is going to be this year. Yeah.
This is last year. They came into the league. They had the benefit of a really easy schedule. They got to beat up on some of the bad teams in the ACC. When it came time to face the more difficult teams, they didn't show up. They were beaten pretty badly in the Penn State game in the playoff. It's different this year. You've got the big boys in the ACC: Clemson, Miami, Louisville. You've got 2 of those. I guess you got 2 of those at home, but you still got to play them. And then you got 2 tough Big 12 matchups. You've got Baylor and TCU. And, I don't think, you'd be fortunate to split those games, if not lose both of them. So I think this is, while this may be, I still think SMU is at the top, is a top tier team in the ACC, and probably will be going forward. I just don't know that there's a day of reckoning this year, because it's just schedule's gotten harder. The defense, I think it's a pretty big rebuilding job defensively. I think that's probably a pretty tough task for them. Kevin Jennings, I do think when they made the switch to him last year, the offense certainly improved. Brashard Smith's gone. He's in the pros. I don't like this offensive line one bit. I don't think they were very good last year. They ranked, or were they 94th in the country in run push, the run push metric. That was terrible. And so I just think, I think there's too many things I look at and go, you know what? If a couple of things just break differently, they're going from 11-1 to, 9-3, 8-4, 7-5. And so it doesn't take much to fall there to 7-5. And I kind of feel like Vegas has them at 8.5 wins. I could see 8-4 for this team pretty easily. And it's not 8-4 is not a bad for this team this year. I just think the schedule got harder.
Yeah, they did. The schedule got much harder, and they'll. I think SMU will elevate as a program, and maybe that against in 3 or 4 years they can do better against this kind of schedule. But I just don't think they're quite there yet, especially along the trenches. I have to agree with you there.
And Vegas does have them as the third. What I'm looking at DraftKings is a draft. I forget which one I'm looking at. They are the third favorite on the books for the conference. If it tells you anything.
Yeah.
Tied with Louisville. So, but I like Louisville better than SMU just based on some of the other data. But and I think I trust Louisville's team a little bit better.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. What do we have next? But the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets.
Run the ball.
The Ramblin' Wreck. Sting 'em, as they say. I don't know if I hinted at this earlier, but I absolutely am hyped for this Georgia Tech team. I love this Georgia Tech team. I think they're going to be really good. They do lose Singleton at the wide receiver in the portal, but they got Malik Rutherford, and he wasn't bad last year. 62 catches, 700 yards. Not bad. I love Brent Key. He is that dude. He's a fun interview. I love listening to him talk. I love the way his teams play. I love the schemes that he runs. Georgia Tech has basically mastered the art of being a triple option team, but they pass enough so that they can recruit like a regular team. And that is a dangerous combo because from a pure scheme standpoint, option concepts have the advantage. The reason the best teams don't all run the option is because it doesn't translate to the NFL. And so it's basically impossible if you just run the pure option. Georgia Tech has mixed in a lot of the passing game with those option concepts. And that actually, it gives them that other dimension that teams actually have to respect the pass, even though that's not going to be the primary target. You have to respect it. And it allows them to recruit big boy, real players along the lines of scrimmage. I know they've brought in a 5-star interior offensive lineman last year. They do have a rebuild on the O-line, but like I said, they've brought in some guys, unproven, but we'll see. They start off with the at Colorado game. Man, that's going to be an interesting game because it's kind of a clash of styles, really. And how that game goes, that may be if Georgia Tech runs away with it, that may be a good sign for the rest of the season. If they struggle against Colorado, you might want to look out.
Yeah,
I'm very high on Georgia
Tech.
Tech.
That game were in Atlanta, not Boulder.
Yeah. I'm very high on Georgia Tech. I think that they still are more physical than a lot of teams in the ACC. I have them going 10-2 or 9-3. 10-2 or 9-3. I think their losses are probably going to be they're probably going to lose to Georgia, although they did take them, to that legendary overtime game last year. So never say never. And then Duke, Clemson are probably their two other toughest games. And I think they're significantly better than everybody else.
I don't know what air you're breathing down there in the great state of Texas, but Vegas has you at 7.5. What do you know that Vegas doesn't on the over-under?
Well, that's going to be a little secret, but I already have some Georgia Tech over. So,
okay.
You got to look.
Listen.
Part of this is that the second tier of the ACC is like 5 teams, and it could kind of go anyway. And so I just had to pick one.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm just picking a different one. I get where you're going. I mean, Haynes King went healthy. And you got to remember, what did he miss, a game or 2 last year? A couple of those losses he was injured.
Yeah, you got to, caveat Haynes King stays healthy. But besides Clemson, Duke, and Georgia, look at these teams. Who can they not beat? Colorado, Gardner-Webb, Temple, Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, Syracuse, NC State, Boston College.
Agree.
The rest of the schedule is pretty easy.
You just need Cal, Stanford, and Virginia to really finish out the bottom half of that conference.
Yeah.
I mean, you miss SMU and you miss Miami. I mean, honestly, they don't have Louisville either, do they? No, they're missing the top 3.
Part of it's schedule related.
It is schedule related. and listen, Jamal Haynes and Haynes King, both of them being back are tremendous. If Haynes King can stay healthy, I think he's one of the most productive quarterbacks, not just from passing, but from a running perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could see this team being 8-4, 9-3 if they, but I just don't see them beating Clemson. I don't see them beating Georgia at all. So then that gives you two automatics, and then I think the Colorado is going to be a tough task to open the season. I guess I just have them 3 automatic losses, and then I figure there's probably a banana peel somewhere else in there, whether it's Duke, who I think is a decent team, well coached, or a Pitt. I think there's another loss in there. I probably have them at 8-4. It could be 7-5. I think they're a good team. I just don't think there's talented. I think Singleton's a bigger loss than you think, because when they go to throw the ball, they need someone like that. So I like them. I like their coach. I just don't have them as high as you do.
Yeah, I think 9-3, and we'll get to this towards the end of the second ACC episode, but I think 9-3 could get them into the ACC championship game simply with that third loss being Georgia. Because and maybe they lose to Clemson. Maybe I'm wrong. You can't always, because there are random upsets that happen, and so I was just kind of trying to pick darts here, but I really believe in Georgia Tech. I think again, barring health scares, I think they can beat anybody in the league.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
So in a 1-game scenario, but we will see. Next up, it's the Florida State Seminoles.
True.
Oh boy, man, Mike Norvell, he has got a tall order. Holy schedules, man. That is yikes.
It's not a good schedule, is it? It's just
no, it is not.
And listen, I mean, I like Gus Malzahn. I just don't know if this was a desperation move on his part, bringing Gus Malzahn in to run that offense. And I'm not a big fan of Thomas Castellanos. He's a dual threat quarterback. Maybe he's the right quarterback. Maybe I'm eating crow at the end of the season. Maybe he's the right quarterback to run Malzahn's offense. I just don't think so. He wasn't a fit to run Bill O'Brien's offense in BC. That was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a better fit. But their offensive production, they were terrible last year offensively. So the returning production just doesn't rank very high for me. They did get Deuce Robinson from USC. That's going to help at least give them a target. I don't know. I don't love the talent here. I think it's good enough to get them to 6-6, 7-5, because there's just a lot of bad teams on that schedule. But tell me how you get to 8-4, 9-3 on this team. I mean, Alabama, Miami, Clemson, and Florida are probably losses. Now that assumes Florida at that point of the season is still alive. If Florida's not alive, but I do believe Alabama, Miami, and Clemson are going to be losses, just guaranteed out.
I think the absolute ceiling on this team is 8-4. I don't think they get any higher than that. I think if they get 8-4, I think you got to call that a success, and Norvell survives. They have picked up the recruiting this past year a little bit, which has been part of the problem, but that'll take like 2 years to get in the system, and you've got to survive as a head coach then. So yeah, you're right. They do have a lot of winnable games. I mean, East Texas A&M, Kent State win, Virginia win, Stanford win. They do play some of the bottom teams like Forest win. Theoretically, again, if the bottom falls out again, they were really bad. But there are a lot of very winnable games. They're more talented than. I just don't think they can burst. They can get through that 8-4 ceiling. I don't see it, not with this roster. Again, Malzahn has tended to win when he has more talent than the other teams with the way his offense works, which may help raise their floor. But I just don't think his offense is gonna go up against Bama, Miami, Clemson, or Florida, all of four which have way better offenses, faster, and I don't think Florida State will be able to score with them.
I mean, can they get the ball to Squirrel White? Is Squirrel White going to be enough in that offense?
Is Squirrel White all that?
I don't know. That's the thing. That's what they're depending on. I mean, if Squirrel White was that good, he would have stayed in Josh Heupel's offense at Tennessee.
Right. Is he really that guy?
So
The
this is what
transfer
this is
portal was
what-
a lot worse this year than it's been in previous years. So I don't know what that says, but
I just don't trust the talent level. And this sell sword mercenary transfer portal kind of approach. If this team could quit by mid-November,
mhm,
I mean,
mhm.
honestly,
Yeah, and then like you think Wake Forest isn't going to be, really motivated to play them, Virginia Tech at that time. Like those two teams, they could lose those games towards the end of the season. NC State
NC
State
could be fighting for a
always
bowl
gets up for those games.
Yeah.
NC
So
State doesn't quit. Like
I don't think Virginia Tech might quit, but NC State's not.
yeah.
I think this is. I mean, I think you're right. There's a ceiling on this team. Now they come out and beat Alabama. They shocked the world. Who knows what could happen with this?
Yeah, let me tell you what isn't going to happen.
They're
Let me
not
tell
going
you,
to.
if you want to bet Florida State,
Can I get an line for that?
yeah, if you want to get an alt line, you're better off just betting them to beat Alabama.
Yeah,
Because
that's the game on that Saturday where you go get your food, you take out the trash. If you have to mow the yard, you mow the yard. You plan on mowing the yard in the second half because there's a lot of good games bookending that game.
yeah, I'll make a prediction right now. I'm taking Alabama minus the points. I don't care what the spread is on that game.
Whatever the
Kalen
point
DeBoer is
is.
going to come out and make a statement and obliterate Florida State.
Yeah,
It's not going to be pretty. And then can they rebound? It's going to be the question.
it's no.
All right. Well, after Florida State comes the complete opposite of Florida State culturally, the Pitt Panthers.
Hey,
Look at that.
He's
Pat
quietly built a
Narduzzi.
pretty good program there.
He really has. He's been there a long time for being the head coach of Pitt, which is saying something. The thing with Pitt this year is I'm not really that high on them as a team. But like I also don't have like the highest expectations for them. So I think they can meet those expectations. I think they went, 7-5 last year. I think they can go 7-5 again. I mean, that's not crazy. They can go a little, maybe even a little better. Yeah.
Listen, with Holstein, they went 7-1 last year when Holstein was the starter and finished. When he started and finished, they went 7-1.
Okay.
So, I think this team could surprise a lot of people in the ACC. Again, there's a difference between being at Clemson level and a Miami level versus being that kind of third or fourth team in the ACC and maybe getting to 9 wins.
Yeah. I'm just not a huge Holstein guy. He's cool, but like I don't know. I've never been a big Pitt offense guy, except for the 1 year where they brought in the new OC and Kenny Pickett. So it's like you're asking me to believe in a Pitt quarterback. It's kind of like Pat Narduzzi doesn't really believe in like the forward pass.
When he was in there, they were 28th out of the Power 4 when he was in there.
Right, but like his QBR was not very good. You look at some of his actual like advanced stats, and they're pretty mediocre and situational. It has a lot of feeling like like that 1 year Tim Tebow was really good in the NFL playoffs. It's like, ooh, great story, but like you look at it, it's like, is that sustainable?
Well, I'm just telling you, I think if he's healthy, it puts them in the top half of the conference. Now they have a tough draw, I think.
Yeah.
They do play Louisville. They do play the back end they have Notre Dame on. They're the one of the people that draw Notre Dame.
Yep.
That back end, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, Miami is tough. But they start out the season. I don't know what to expect from West Virginia.
They brought in like 70 players. So
yes,
again, complete crapshoot. No one has any idea what West Virginia is going to be. They could be good. They could be terrible. A lot of them are from that Jacksonville State team, which was good at the G5 level. How does that translate to the Power 5? It worked for Indiana, but like, does that mean it's going to work for West Virginia? I don't know.
But I've got a plausible scenario here where they're 9-0 or 8-1 going into that Notre Dame game.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, tell
me who's really going to beat them. That they're double-digit dogs to.
I think Louisville, not double digit. I think
Maybe
Louisville will beat them.
But it's a home game. It's a home
It
game.
is. I think Florida State could beat them if they might not have given
Florida
up by
State
then.
could beat them, but
I
are they
think
really?
Syracuse might beat them at Syracuse.
could beat them.
You
but
don't
they're
just go
not
into the
going-
Carrier Dome, you know? Oh, sorry, the JMA Wireless Dome. My bad. It's not the Carrier Dome
That's right,
anymore.
that's right. Listen, I understand that. I'm not saying they're going to be, and they may not be. They instead of being 9-0, they could be 4-5. But I just don't. I think they've got a pretty good. They got a good linebacker. They're strong at linebacker. I think the defense is going to be good. The defensive line is going to be good between some of the mix of the old and new guys. Holstein stays healthy. This team.
I do have Desmond Reed back at running back, I think, right?
Yeah. So there's a scenario here where this team could be the surprising team, I think, in the conference. That's the case I'm making.
We'll see. It'll be.
Put a pin in this one.
Yeah.
Put a pin in this one.
We will see. I think a lot of it will depend on how much Pat Narduzzi lets the offense be an offense. He's got that old school DC head coach in him where it's just like don't just run the ball, just give me back my defense, kind of vibes. Which is awesome. I love it, the smash mouth, but it doesn't lend itself to the highest ceilings, but it does give you kind of a higher floor. So
yeah, Pitt is sort of one of those teams where every few years
they just pop up.
They pop up, and this may be the year.
Maybe they will.
Yeah.
We'll see. Next up, we have got the NC State Wolfpack. I don't know about it. They don't have really the hardest schedule if you really look at NC State. They've got a couple tough games, but they also got a lot of some easy games too. So
they do.
Situationally, it'll depend. They got Florida State and North Carolina at the end. Do we know how committed both of those teams are going to be? Like if with a lot of new players and towards the end of the season, if they're not great, I don't know. NC State. Here's the thing with NC State. Dave Doran's had an incredibly consistent program there. They've never really broken through. They've been the preseason darling for many years. But I just kind of think the game may have passed him by a little bit, just like the way that program building exists in the modern era. The recruiting scouting has gotten a lot better. It's harder to find those diamonds in the rough. I don't know if they're really built like that.
I want to compare two programs here. One of these programs, we're going to compare NC State to another program, which I think was ranked like 12th or 13th in the coaches poll. And so I want to be fair here. And let's go.
Where are we going with this?
I will tell you, because I think NC State is underrated as a program, and this other program is highly overrated. Let's compare wins since 2014. NC State 84, this other program 85. This other program, by the way, is in that special conference we'll talk about later. And
okay, but we're really going to hash this out now.
Yeah, wins since 2018. NC State 53, this other team 54. 8-win season since 2018. NC State 5, this other team 5. 9-win seasons. NC State 3, this other team 2. I mean, I can go down. Basically, the other team is Texas A&M, but we got to talk all the world about Texas A&M. The NC State is Texas A&M.
Okay. Counterpoint.
So I'm going to go 84.
NC State has not signed a 5-star in living memory.
Yeah, and and what has that got in Texas A&M? My point is I think Dave Doran's done a pretty good job here over the last 10 years, 11 years. Now, do I think this is a great team? No.
Yeah, okay. All of that to go, do I think this is a great team? No. Yeah, all right.
I do like Bailey, though. I do think he's got a lot of upside. I just think they're probably a year away with Bailey. They've got to build around him. I think he's got a lot of potential. By the way, did you know who his wide receiver was in high school?
No. Who? Wait, was it Jeremiah Smith?
It was Jeremiah Smith.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think Bailey's got some potential here. But look at the calendar there. I mean, you look at the schedule there. It's not terrible. They avoid Clemson. They avoid SMU, but they do get Notre Dame. Okay.
Yeah, I just don't. I'm not very high on them this year. I don't think. I think a lot of teams. Let's just go down the schedule. I think East Carolina will be a win. I think Virginia will be a win. I think Wake Forest will be a win. I think they'll lose to Duke. I think Virginia Tech probably a win. Campbell win. I think they lose to Notre Dame. They might lose to Pitt. I think they lose to Georgia Tech. I think they lose to Miami. And I don't know about the last two, but I have them around like 6-6. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and the over-under is 6-5, 6.5. So I think you're probably right. 6-6, 7-5 is probably a realistic scenario for him. I just think I don't think this is Dave Doran's best team, but I want to stop with Dave Doran. The games past Dave Doran by. I think he's a pretty good coach who's done a lot, done more than other schools that get 4 and 5 star talent.
I'm not doubting his history. I just think I wonder how he does in the modern era. NC State really doesn't have the finances that a lot of these other schools have.
Well, they you say that, but they're a big state school. They can put some. I mean, they can put some money together if they need to. I think.
Okay, all right,
but we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
But I don't think this team's going to be. This is not going to be a 9-3 team or 8-4 team.
No, I honestly I could see them going 5-7 too. Like it's not beyond the pale.
No.
All right. Next up, we have got for the Virginia Polytechnic State Institute Hokies.
This has got to be it for Brent Pry, isn't it?
I mean, you would think, but
I mean,
they don't. Does Virginia Tech seem that invested in their football program right now? I don't know. Like,
I mean, they could not. I mean,
where's the passion? Where's the calling for the coach's head? Like,
they could. Well, I think some of the fans want them. They couldn't get coordinators to come there because everybody was afraid because everybody thinks Pry's getting fired, so they had to settle on coordinators. Who was the quarterback that left? They had a good recruit that left. I don't remember his name now. I mean, Kyron Drones is back. We know we all know what we're getting with Kyron Drones. One, he's going to get injured at some point. Two, he is going to give you one game where he's going to look like a world beater.
And then the rest of the time he's going to run and not throw the ball.
Yeah, or his throws are going to be inaccurate. So, I mean, you're entering the season with a guy that we know we've seen the book on him.
Yeah.
I just don't see it with this team. I mean, the offensive returning production is is like 88th in the country. I mean, it's terrible. And then they don't get an easy schedule. I mean, you've got 2 SEC teams to start out with. Now, granted, they get one of them at home. They get South Carolina on a neutral site, but both those teams are better than Virginia Tech. Now, could they be Vandy? Maybe. I don't know. They're not going to.
I think Vandy's a better team than Virginia Tech. I think they got a better quarterback. I think they've got a better alignment. I think they got a better scheme. I think they'll lose both those SEC games.
Yeah. Then you go down. You're probably going to lose at Georgia Tech. At NC State's a toss-up. You're going to probably lose to Louisville.
Might lose to Florida State. You will lose to Miami.
Probably lose to Miami.
You'll probably beat Virginia.
Well, I don't know. We'll get to Virginia. That may be a toss-up at that point. Well, actually, go look at the over.
I mean, if Brent Pry is fired, it's a toss-up.
Go look at the over/under in Vegas right now. I think the over/under Virginia's got a better over/under than Tech does.
Yeah, but like, I think both Virginia schools will be looking for a new head coach.
Perhaps. But this just I don't know. I just don't. There's just not a lot of talent here. If you look at their recruiting, it's been abysmal.
And they haven't like made up for that in like development either. They don't.
No.
Yeah.
Seven starters transferred out, yet they didn't sign a single 4-star transfer. I mean, they're just and so I know there's living in the state. There's a lot of Virginia Tech Hokies that want more. They want to return to the old days. I just don't know what it's going to take because I think Brent Pry actually is a pretty good football coach. I think in the industry he's well thought of. So what is he not getting? Is he just not capable of running the program? Maybe.
I think
we said that about Justin Fuente. I mean,
I
Or is
think
there,
the
is there not
problem.
alignment there anymore? I don't know.
I think the problem is alignment. I think the problem is Virginia Tech is a full and complete rebuild, and it is not managed like a well-run program. It would be like you would need someone on the level who's at that level, like what Lincoln Riley did to USC, where it's like he comes in and he takes 3 years and just guts the entire place and rebuilds infrastructure from scratch. Because
Yeah.
even on the administrative side, I don't think they have it together. They don't have the fundraising arm together. They don't have their branding arm together. I think there's just so many areas of the program that are just not aligned, and it is not the place to learn to be a head coach for Brent Pry.
Well,
Like,
it's a different time period now. There's a lot of schools like the SMUs of the world who are well funded and put together for this new
and
environment.
organized and aligned, and yeah.
This may be it for maybe last year they had high expectations from a lot in the media.
Not us.
Not us. Not we didn't think so. This year, who knows? Maybe they surprise us. I don't see it on paper. So I think this is probably a 5-7, maybe a 6-6 team at best.
Yeah. I tend to agree. Up next, we have got the Boston College Fighting Eagles. Do I have to even say it? I've been a Bill O'Brien hater for going on 10, 15 years now. And that doesn't change now that he's in college. It didn't change last year. They did a little better than I thought they would towards the beginning of the season, but it ended up falling off a little bit. I don't think he's that good of an offensive scheme coach. I don't know what his legendary status is as an offensive coach. I guess is he like one of those quarterbacks that's really good in practice? Is he really good coach in practice? And that's what all the other coaches see, because his in-game play calling is sus at best. I don't really see you lose your quarterback to Florida State, although you might be getting a better aligned scheme-wise quarterback.
Castellanos was not a fit there for that.
Yeah. So got Grayson James coming in as the quarterback, taking over the role. We'll see. They've got a tough schedule. Like, look at this. They got at Michigan State. They could very well lose that.
They probably will.
They probably will. At Pitt is not easy. Clemson, that's a loss. Sneakily, like, they could lose to UConn if they're not locked in.
With the Fighting Jim Moras.
Yeah, sneakily they could lose to UConn, honestly. I mean, this may be one of those teams that maybe this is where Stanford gets, like, they could lose basically any game on their schedule, I think, except Fordham.
The last 6 are miserable.
That's brutal. At Louisville, Notre Dame, SMU, Georgia Tech, Syracuse. I think that's 5 straight losses, in my opinion.
Yeah, it probably is. This could be a rough year, and I think Bill O'Brien is a good coach. I just don't think that this is the talent was there. I don't think they replaced enough talent in the portal to really give them a shot this year. This feels like a 4-win team.
Yeah.
And only team,
they're going to be feeding wins to some of the top teams on this schedule.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think ceiling is probably 4 wins.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, the Cal Golden Bears. I like Justin Wilcox. I think he's a great coach. I think Cal has limitations at a program, which is part of the reason why I think Wilcox is such a good coach for what he's got out of them. They lost their best players from 2024, man. They lost a bunch of players in the portal. Jaden Ott gone. Fernando Mendoza gone. They went 6-7 last year, and at Cal, I think that's honestly an accomplishment. They played really well in some games. They had some big performances, but it's I think going to be a rough year for Cal this year. At Oregon State, not a pushover. again, Oregon State's rebuilding too, but like, can you really tell me that Cal is significantly better than Oregon State?
No.
Yeah, right.
No.
I think they're going to lose to Minnesota. They
Minnesota-
very well could lose to
Minnesota
San Diego
down.
State. San Diego State's not a bad team.
Possible.
They're running that new high like shoot, run and shoot offense. You're in shoot offense of San Diego State, aren't they? Yeah. At Boston College again, one of those teams is got to win that game, so that could be Cal. Duke's lost, Carolina's lost. They could lose to Virginia Tech or Virginia. They could also win either of those games. I try. Wilcox is a good coach, so he could coach them up to some wins. I think they could get to like maybe 5 wins with some luck. But I think that's kind of the ceiling for them. I have them more around 4-8, 3-9.
Yeah, I mean, their entire secondary is gone. Jay Knott left to go to Oklahoma. Mendoza left to go to Indiana. I mean, their whole team was gutted. And it's not Wilcox's fault. They they had problems with the boosters. The transfer portals killed them.
Were they the ones? Didn't they almost when they're almost a coup inside the program?
Yeah, I forget what happened.
That was some weird offseason deep lore.
This is we're getting to the teams that if we get to the point where we get to the super leagues, Cal's going to get left behind. They just don't put the money into it, and
unfortunately,
they're not that concerned. And this is what happens. And so,
unfortunately, Cal Twitter, amazing. Love Cal Twitter. You guys are awesome. Shout out Cal Twitter. Their football team, a little less so. I know, shocker. California really good at social media and not athletics.
Yeah, amazing. So,
crazy, right?
Yeah, I think looking at four wins is probably a more realistic scenario here for this team.
Yeah. So that's what we've got today. I think I'm gonna just go ahead and tell you, I had in the ACC championship game, I had the 2 teams we listed today. I had Georgia Tech and Clemson. I had Georgia Tech winning first time and Clemson winning the second time. I think they'll win handily and be off to the races. But again,
I had one team from tonight, Clemson. My other team is going to be, we're going to talk about on our next podcast, ACC part.
Yeah, and I think if you watched the show last year, I think you know what I'm going to say about that next team, because I was not.
Where I'm going.
I was not the biggest fan of the former Georgia quarterback last year, so we'll see. But that'll be a little teaser for next week.
Next podcast, which is tomorrow
by the way.
Night.
By the way. Podcast update. We are rolling the episodes out now. We're doing at least 2 a week until the season. We're gonna get rolling. We're gonna get going. We've got, like I said, we got we got schedule graphics now. Screenshots from
Join
ESPN.
us in the chat. Like the podcast. Subscribe.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
We are not while we don't have the following that a Josh Pate has or Andy and Ari. We'd be happy if On3 hired us, or we got some.
On3, I hear you're expanding.
We're here. We're available.
Yeah.
We are the #1 rated college football podcast that's hosted by a father and son whose last names begin with an H.
Exactly.
So
yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure and tune in tomorrow. We've got the rest of the ACC going on. If you may have noticed behind me, I've got the new setup. I've got because I have relocated to the great state of Texas, and if you want to find out where, you can check my LinkedIn. But I have got my new setup behind me with a bunch of different cups from different games that I've been to. We are going to be going on the road with the podcast for multiple games this season, so you'll see how that goes when we look out for some live streams from some good games. And thank you all so much for watching.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow night. Have fun.
See y'all tomorrow. Good night, America.